Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube channel. This time, we're doing Dynasty Sells. But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I want to hit 3,000 subscribers before the NFL season starts, so I would appreciate all subscriptions. Let's jump into our first sell. Najee Harris. Type of asset I have zero interest in. None. Do not want. Just turned 26 years old. A lot older than I think people think. He's only played 3 years in the NFL, already 26. Got a lot of miles on his legs and has not done anything special other than stay healthy on that volume. Nothing other than that has really been good. He had an interesting rookie year, 307 carries for 1,200 yards. All the advanced metrics said he was pretty bad. 3.9 yards to carry, way below expectation on his rushing yards. But he had 7 touchdowns, and most importantly, 74 catches for 467 yards and 3 touchdowns. Then, 2022, volume came down a little bit. Jaylen Warren got a little bit involved. The efficiency came down. The catches came down to 41 catches. And then in 2023, the efficiency, slight uptick, but the catches went down to nothing, 29 catches over 17 games. Receiving usage has gone down and down and down over his career. Jaylen Warren was kind of the starter at times in 2023. He's declined in carries per game every season. And now, let's get excited for the Steelers to have Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. A running back's worst nightmare. In addition, Smith just brought in his favorite running back 3 and vulture in Cordero Patterson to an unreasonable contract. Yeah, I really hope he only returns kicks, but I know Arthur Smith. On the goal line, Cordero Patterson will come in. You'll say, oh, well, how could you have known it was going to happen? Well, I said it. We're in April. You heard me say it in April. I guarantee you during the season, you're going to have fantasy managers pulling their hair out because Cordero Patterson is coming in when he's not supposed to be. Worst of all, if right now Russell Wilson is the starter, but if Justin Fields ever goes in, there won't be any running back dump-offs. You thought this was bad. You thought 29 catches was bad for Najee Harris. Not going to be higher with Justin Fields, who doesn't dump off at all. They're not going to pick up Najee's 5th-year option for 2025. His KTC value is divorced from any reality at RB22. That's way too high. He hasn't shown anything to earn that value. I have him 3 spots lower, and honestly, even that seems too high. I'm going to have probably 3 or 4 rookie running backs ahead of him. I have no interest in Najee Harris. I dump him for any 25-second. According to KTC, you can get Josh Downs for him. I'd just like to take the talented young receiver over 26-year-old running back. Maybe this year, something in the 205 to 207 range. Probably that's the best case scenario. I'd just like to be done with Najee Harris. Next up, Stefon Diggs. I think that the upside take of Stefon Diggs is not really with reality. Most analysts I hear are on the downside of Stefon Diggs. They do not want Stefon Diggs. They're not interested. I do hear a few people saying otherwise. Since he went to Buffalo, he's been a great player. In 2020, came in immediately. 7.9 catches, 95.9 yards a game. Those are stellar numbers. 2021, a little downtick. 6.1 catches, 72.1 yards a game. 2022, though, right back on the horse. 6.8 catches, 89.3 yards a game. But in 2023, essentially, we went back to 2021. 6.3 catches and 69.6 yards a game. But 2023 was different. It's very obvious what happened. The Bills replaced Ken Dorsey with Joe Brady as their offense coordinator. The second they did that, all of a sudden, Stefon Diggs' numbers went down. And it was almost immediate. With Dorsey, 7.3 catches and 86.8 yards a game, along with his best numbers in Buffalo. With Brady, 4.9 catches and 45 yards a game. They just stopped passing. They stopped throwing. And I think part of the problem is that Joe Brady does not believe that the offense works best just forcing the ball to Stefon Diggs. He doesn't believe that. That's not his offensive plan. So moving forward, the Bills let Gabe Davis walk. He signed with the Jaguars. They signed Curtis Samuel, but Curtis Samuel kind of is replacing Khalil Shakir. Between the two of them, they ran less than 10 routes in 2 wide receiver sets last year. So unless that's going to change, which I don't think it's going to, I think the Bills are looking at adding another wide receiver in the first round. I've seen most mocks, but not all, most have had them taking a wide receiver with that 28th overall pick. Some I've seen taking in the second. I have not seen a mock where they've not taken wide receiver with one of those 2 picks. That I haven't seen. So if another wide receiver is added, especially in the first round, this is a good wide receiver class. I saw Brian Thomas there. I don't think he'll make it. X-Worthy, Adonai Mitchell. These are players who are good players. They would threaten Stefon Diggs, especially since he's already 30. Dalton Kincaid, I think, is going to take a step forward. KTC still has Diggs without rookies included, wide receiver 28. It's just way too high. I'm not sure how you can rank him as a top 20 wide receiver for redraft. So how he's wide receiver 28 in Dynasty, I don't know. I think I have a more fair price wide receiver 35. It's kind of a good mix of his range of outcomes. Trade ideas. I'd take any first for Stefon Diggs any year. Even if you have to go to 2026, I just take a first because you're not going to be able to get it later. And then I saw some real trades on the DLF Trade Finder. Superflex, Diggs for Baker Mayfield in 25 second. I'd prefer Mayfield straight up, so that's an easy one. And then a creative one. I kind of like this. You never know what you can get done. Diggs and Keenan Allen for Brandon Ayuk in 303. I would easily take Brandon Ayuk, even without the 303. But it was on there, so I just want to throw it out there as a possibility. It happened in a league. Never rule out these types of creative moves, because sometimes that's the best way to get off players is packaging them or packaging them with a pick for a higher pick, something like that. Last up, Dallas Goedert. Usually on here, we're kind of talking about sell highs. Not really on this episode, but this is not a sell high in any stretch of the word. I just don't see the appeal of Goedert at all anymore. He's a lot older than people think. He turns 29 years old in January. He turned 29 already. So he'll be 30 at the start of next offseason. And somehow he's never really delivered on his promise coming into the NFL. He sat behind Zach Ertz in 2018 and 2019. Then he had 4.2 catches and 47.6 yards a game in 2020. Kind of similar, little less volume, but a few more yards in 2021. Then 2022, I guess, was the best year. The Eagles traded for A.J. Brown. Goedert had 4.6 catches, which was a career high, 58.5 yards a game, a career high. But then in 2023, he fell back again. Kind of back, not even as good as 2020. Same catches per game, lower yards per game. The Eagles' offense regressed. And Goedert has never scored more than 5 touchdowns in any season. So he's never had that touchdown season, which doesn't surprise me because the Eagles run a lot at the goal line and they don't throw there. So that's why Goedert's not having a lot of touchdowns. As for his future, he's on a really reasonable contract. They just owe him cap hit $9.13 million this year, $11.8 million next year. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's certainly worth more than that to the real life Eagles. And his situation's only going to get worse from 2023 to 2024. The Eagles will have other weapons in the passing game. Over the last 3 years, they've really had nothing other than A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert over the last 2 years. Saquon Barkley, I guarantee you, will see more receiving work than their previous backs, especially in the short areas, competing with Goedert. And the Eagles need to address their wide receiver 3 position, especially, they have A.J. Brown's contract. Devonta Smith is heading into the 4th year of his rookie deal. Most of the mocks I've seen has had them taking a wide receiver in the second round. They have 2 second-round picks, 50 and 53 overall. I've seen a wide receiver to them in most of the mocks. Not all, but most. Which would further cut into Goedert's target share. So for this episode, I saw that Goedert was tight end 17 on Keep Trade Cut. And I realized I had him too high. I actually had him a few spots higher, but I think he needs to come down. I just don't see the value for Dallas Goedert at all. So some trade ideas. Goedert for Tucker Kraft. I fully believe that Tucker Kraft, not Luke Musgrave, is the starter in Green Bay. During the playoffs, he was their guy. And he dominated while Musgrave was healthy and came in a bit part role. So if I could send Goedert for the much younger Kraft, who's shown a lot of upside as a rookie, I would absolutely do that. And then any second for Goedert. I don't think you're ever going to be able to get that again. Goedert could be someone who's worth almost nothing in a year. If he's not good this year, he's not going to have any value at 30 when he hasn't done anything. Now, I got a special segment for you guys, so let's just jump into that. Raheem Mostert signed a contract extension with the Dolphins. Was mostly to raise his pay for 2024. Rips up his old deal, which called for $2.8 million this year with a $2.4 million base salary, but it had no guarantees. Now, 2-year deal worth up to $9.057 million with $3.7 million guarantees. It's one of the most Mostert's one of the most bizarre dynasty assets ever. He turns 32 in April, but in 2023, in his age 31 season, had a career year. 209 carries, 1,012 yards, 18 touchdowns, 4.8 yards a carry, and 3 touchdowns in the receiving game and 25 catches. He was actually solid in Miami as well in 2022. 181 carries, 891 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Good yards per carry, 31 catches. A little bit more involved as a pass catcher in 2022. Similar efficiency, but in 2023, he had a touchdown season for the ages. For me, I moved him up one spot. It's kind of hard to believe that he'll really hold up with his injury history and already being 32 years old. And the new guarantees really don't guarantee anything for 2025, so it could just be a one-year deal. But I do think it shows that Mostert is a big part of their offense in 2024 as long as he's healthy. And, as for De'Von Achane, I thought that he's a little bit overvalued all offseason. He was only a third-round pick, dealt with multiple injuries in 2023. He had 103 carries for 8 yards, 7.8 yards a carry, 27 catches for 193 yards and 3 touchdowns. There's no way that efficiency is going to last long term. 8 touchdowns and 103 carries is not going to happen. 7.8 yards per carry, that's not going to happen. So I still have him in RB6. I love the upside, but, do I want to spend my second-round starter pick in a super flex on De'Von Achane? No. I've never wanted to do that. So I'm out on that idea. Now, if you like what's going on in this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's the best ways to support the channel directly. And then as for supporting me, sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/fantasyadvice, where you can ask advanced questions for the YouTube, trades for my Dynasty Trades episodes, and also get my Dynasty ranks, rookie ranks, and access to the Discord where we discuss Dynasty and do mock drafts together. With that said, let's hop into our first Patreon question. Who are your favorite buy low quarterbacks and what would you be sending for them? So I have 3. Jared Goff. I talked about him on a recent buy episode on here. Doesn't get the proper respect, not treated as a franchise quarterback. I think he's getting a massive contract extension. We talked about it on the episode, but I would send any late first for Jared Goff pretty easily. Next up, Brock Purdy. I've been saying this all offseason. Stats are there. System is there. Wins games. 49ers are talking about a contract extension, even though they can't do it until next offseason. If you could send the 108 or 109 for Brock Purdy, I'd absolutely do it. But some people are taking even less for Brock Purdy, so I would absolutely target Brock Purdy. And then, of course, Justin Herbert, who we also talked about in a recent episode. He's a really good player. Temporarily has a lack of weapons. We know that coaching is not going to turn off Herbert's passing volume. A lot of people say it will. New coaching didn't turn Lamar Jackson into a high-volume passer. It's not going to turn Justin Herbert into a low-volume passer. I would buy on Justin Herbert, maybe for a couple of late firsts, a late first and a 25 first, something like that. Last question. Thoughts on drafting unproven players or flipping picks into experienced proven players? Now, general, I would wait until I'm on the clock to trade out or down. But when the clock comes, I often do trade out for a veteran or for future picks as part of a move. One of my favorite moves this time of the offseason is to use the rookie draft to offload undesirable assets as a part of trade-ups. Some of those assets include Jahan Dotson, Christian Watson, Marvin Mims, Treylon Burks, running backs like Ramondre Stevenson, Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift. Include them as part of a package to move up in the draft. People are much more likely to give you a good value as part of a move up versus just buying a pick. So that's often a strategy that I use this time of the offseason to prepare to have the best rookie draft possible. But once again, I want to thank everyone for watching the video. I want to thank everyone who leaves likes and comments, and also all of my patrons for helping make the channel content possible. And we're going to keep rolling as we head into the NFL draft. We're going to have some more rookie videos, talk about dynasty trades, and of course, we'll have a lot of exciting content after the NFL draft where we will cover everything that happened there. But until next time, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.